So today we're doing applications of trig functions, otherwise known as word problems. So we're still going to be using SOHCAHTOA. This is what we're going to be doing today. SOHCAHTOA. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And T stands for tangent, which is over adjacent. Okay? If I write it down, you should write it down. All right. So here is something that looks like it's going to be confusing, but it's actually not that hard. Here's a person right here. There's a person right there. And when they look up at the airplane, okay, if they look up at an airplane, that's called an angle of elevation. When do you always want to take the elevator? When you're going up, okay? That's when you really want to take the elevator, when you're going up. So elevation, looking up, okay? If the person is looking down, if they're looking down at the cars, that's an angle of depression. Depression is down, okay? All right? If you are in the car, if you're in the car and you're looking up, that is an angle of elevation because that person is looking up, okay? Now, here's the thing that always messes students up. Is there anything in that spot right there? No. Is there any label in that spot? No. Okay, there is no label in that spot. Nothing goes in that spot. So when you have a triangle, you are never going to put anything in that spot. There's nothing that ever goes in that spot. Okay? Here's the other thing that you need to know that will actually make your life a lot simpler. So if you are looking down, it's called the angle of depression. If you're looking up, it's called the angle of elevation. So they have two different names. But if I tell you that this is 30 degrees right there, that one right there, if I tell you that is 30 degrees, then you know that this one right here is 30 degrees. Why are those two angles the same? Very good. Alternate interior. Good job. So even though they have two different names, the angle of depression and the angle of elevation, do they have the same numbers that go with them? Yes. Okay. All right. So let's do a problem. So number one, a closed circuit television camera is mounted on a wall 7.4 feet above a security desk in an office building. It is used to view the entrance door 9.3 feet from the desk. Find the angle of depression from the camera lens to the entrance door. Round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so what does it say to find the angle of depression? So the angle of depression technically goes right there. If you want to be technical about it, that's where the angle of depression goes. However, if this is X, what is this one down here going to be? X. So some of y'all will get to where you will skip putting an X right there and you'll just go ahead and put it right there. Okay? All right. So we have a triangle. And you can mark out that X if it's going to bother you because we don't need it anymore. We are trying to find this X right here. So let's mark what we have. So we're going to go do an arrow. 7.4 is your opposite, okay? And 9.3 is right next door. That is your adjacent, okay? So, SOHCAHTOA. So I need the one that has the O and the A in it. Tangent. Okay, so I write down tan. And your angle always comes next. The angle always goes next to this word. Okay? Where's my angle? X. Okay, my angle is X. So I'm going to put an X right there. Then the equals. Okay, then the equals. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. Okay, so opposite goes on top. Which one did we say was opposite? 7.4. And which one is adjacent? 9.3. Okay. All right, what am I trying to get by itself? X. How do you get rid of tangent? Do the inverse. You hit second tangent. So in your calculators, everybody practice this with me, please. To get rid of tangent, you hit second tangent. So hit the second button and then tangent, and you type in what we have. What do we have? 7.4 divided by 9.3. And what did it say to round to? The nearest tenth, okay? And so remember on your benchmark, some of y'all missed questions because you didn't round right. How many decimal places is the tenth? 1. So this should be 38.5, okay? 38.5. Anything else I could add to that answer? A degree symbol, okay? I will not take off points for that. Just wanted to see who knew that was degrees. Okay, that's it. That's all you're doing, okay? All right, number 2. The world's longest escalator is in the Lenin undergrad in Lenin Square. The escalator has an angle of elevation of 10.36 degrees and a vertical rise of 195.8 feet. Find the length of the escalator round to the nearest hundredth. What would be a good idea to do on this one? Draw a picture, okay? Y'all have seen escalators in the mall. What do escalators do? Like that, right? Okay, so that's what an escalator does. The escalator has an angle of elevation of 10.36. So elevation is going to go in this little corner right there, okay? The angle of elevation goes in that little corner. It has a vertical rise of 195.8. Vertical goes straight, how? Up and down. Vertical is straight up and down. So 195.8. Vertical, you got to draw a straight up and down line for that, okay? What does it say to find? The length of the escalator. Was the escalator along the ground or is it along the angle? Oh, there's your escalator right there, okay? All right, here's your escalator. If you need to, oops, I was doing so well with these steps and then I messed up. Okay, so there's your escalator. All right, so let's mark what we have. So start at your angle, and so that one is the opposite. It went opposite the triangle. And then here's your right angle, so this one is the hypotenuse, okay? So we have O and H, okay? So let's go back and look. Which one is O and H? Sine, okay? So S-I-N, what always comes next? The angle. The angle comes next. The angle might be X, the angle might not be X. What's the angle on this one? 10.36. Your angle is 10.36. Okay? Equals opposite 195.8 over hypotenuse. Okay? All right, questions on how I got to that step? All right, when X is on the bottom, you have to do the butterfly, okay? So it's going to be sine 10.36 times X. Sine 10.36 times X equals, what's 1 times 195.8? 195.8. Okay, so you're doing the butterfly. All right, remember to keep in mind the goal. The goal is to get X by itself, okay? How do I get rid of the sign now? You divide it, okay? This one isn't a second sign one because you have got a whole thing right there. You're going to divide by this whole thing. So you're going to divide by sine 10.36, okay? All right, what are y'all getting for that one? Did I mess up?
No. Oh, wait. 115.
Should be 1,088.79. This one said round to the nearest hundredth. Okay? It should be long because it's the world's longest escalator. Okay? All right, so 1,088.79. You type in 195.8 divided by sine 10.36. Did it work?
Yeah, that worked.
Okay. All right. Number 3, find the height of a flagpole which casts a shadow of 9.32 meters when the sun makes, should say an angle, of 63 degrees to the horizontal round to the nearest 100. So this is a very confusing word problem, which is why they drew you a picture, okay? They drew you a nice picture, so you didn't have to do a lot of crazy thinking. And the question mark is right here. What should we change that question mark to? An X, okay? All right, so look at your angle. We got 63 degrees and draw your arrow. So what does that make X? The opposite, okay? X is your opposite. What's 9.32? Adjacent, okay? It's your adjacent, okay? All right, which one is O and A? Tan. So I write tan. Your angle always comes next. What's the angle on this one? 63. Opposite has to go on top over adjacent. So you know how the thing I write is TOA, okay? That means tangent is opposite over adjacent. That's the order you have to do it in. Opposite has to go on top, adjacent has to go on the bottom, okay? How do you get X by itself? Multiply by 9.32 on both sides. So in your calculator, 9.32 times tangent 63. I got 18. Good. Y'all good on that one? Okay. All right. Number 4. A train must climb at a constant gradient of 5.5 meters for every 200 meters of track. Find the angle of incline round to the nearest thousandth. Okay? Okay, so a train must climb at a constant gradient of 5.5 meters for every 200 meters of track. That sounds a little confusing, but let's start with the easier part, I think. 200 meters of track. Where would the train track be? At the bottom, the side, or the hypotenuse? Look, here's your train. It says a train must climb. So a train is, all right, it's going up the mountain. Okay, so there's 200 meters of track. And it's a gradient of 5.5. Would that be along the bottom or the height? The height. So a gradient is like sometimes they'll talk about that when you're doing like landscaping. Like they'll say, I don't want my yard to have a gradient of more than blah 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 blah. Okay, so it's how steep it is. How steep. Okay, find the angle of incline. So I put my X here. All right, so this one is good. So this is opposite, and this one is hypotenuse. Okay, so sine, what comes next? X. Your angle always goes there. In this case, our angle is X. Which one goes on top? 5.5. What goes on the bottom? 200. Okay. All right. Whenever the X is directly with the sine, there's nothing else there, that's when you have to do the inverse, the second sign, okay? When the only thing you're moving is those 3 letters, that's when you do this inverse of sine. So in your calculator, you do second sine, 5.5 over 200. All right, what you got for this one? All right, 1.576. This one said the nearest thousand, so that's why we're doing that. All right, number 5. A worker makes a ramp by placing one end of an 8-foot long board on the bed of a pickup truck and the other end on the ground. The bed of the truck is 3 feet above the ground. Find the angle between the board and the ground round to the nearest whole number. Okay? Once again, our best strategy is to draw something. A worker is making a ramp. All right? Y'all know what ramps look like. They always go like that. Okay? That's your ramp going up. And it's making a ramp using a board. Y'all have seen people do this, like on America's Funniest Home Videos, when they try to drive their dirt bike up into a truck, and what happens to the board? Yep. All right, so how long is this board that they're using? 8 feet. They're placing one end on the bed of a pickup truck. Okay, again, you've seen people do this, try to drive their dirt bikes up into the bed of a pickup truck. And the other end is on the ground. The bed of the truck is 3 feet above the ground. So 3 feet above the ground. So that's how high off the ground it is. All right, find the angle between the board and the ground. So does that right here? No, good. All right, is it here? Yes, okay. All right, so which one is this? All right, because you got opposite and you have hypotenuse. So sine x equals 3/8. Okay. Somebody who has an answer today, what do I do next?
You gotta do -1.
Good. Good. You got to do second sine. It's really technically called inverse sine. And anybody? 22 degrees. Okay, 22 degrees. Questions? All right. Roy drove his boat from a dock due north for 6 miles. Then he turned and drove due west for 8 miles and dropped anchor. Approximately how many miles from the dock did Roy drop anchor? Okay, so here's Roy. What did Roy do first? He drove 6 miles north. Which way is north? Up. Okay, so he drove up for 6 miles. He drove up for 6 miles. Then he turned and went west. Okay? So you've got North Carolina, you got South Carolina. Is this the East Coast or the West Coast? The East Coast, and this is the West Coast. All right, so west, you're going to go to the left, okay? And he went west for 8 miles, okay? How many miles from the dock did he drop anchor? What does it want me to do? What else do I need to do with my picture? Good. Okay, it's want to know how many miles from the dock. So here was the dock where he started, and then here's where he ended up. So I want to know how far he ended up from there. Guys, I'm going to put my 6 out here so you don't get confused. And so it wants to know that. All right. Anybody know how we're going to do this one? It's different than all the rest. What? Pythagorean theorem. So, guys, do we have any sort of angles on this one? No. Yep, so we got to do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay? Which one is c? Good. It's always your hypotenuse. All right, so 6 squared plus 8 squared, you could do it opposite and you'll get the same answer. 6 squared plus 8 squared equals c squared. Good. I see people typing that in their calculator. Thank you. What does that give you? 100. So 100 is my answer? No. Thank you. I have to square root both sides, and so you get 10. So he was 10 miles from the dock. Okay. Questions? All right, number 7, Julian is flying a kite attached to a 100-foot long string. If the kite is tied angle of elevation of 40 degrees. What is the height of the kite from the ground? Okay? All right, so you got to start out by drawing it. Most of the time when people are flying a kite, is it straight up above them or is it kind of to the side? It's kind of to the side. So here, there's his kite, okay? Here's Julian, okay? It says 100-foot long string. So where does 100 go? Good, okay? That's his string, so that's 100. If the string is tied to the ground at an angle of elevation of 40, okay? Where do I stick that 40 degrees? Okay, because it's tied to the ground, okay? So 40 degrees right there. What is the approximate height of the kite above the ground? Where's height? Along the bottom or up and down? Up and down, okay? All right, and you can tell what's always the favorite on the test. This one is what? Opposite and hypotenuse, so that is sine again. Sine of 40 equals x over 100. Okay. Somebody who hasn't answered today, what do you do next? Not on this one because x isn't on the bottom. You can do the easy way. Multiply by 100. Okay. All right, what do you get for this one? So the answer is A. Okay. All right, number 8, a person is 100 yards from a river. Rather than walk directly to the river, the person walks 400 yards along a straight path to the river's edge. Find the acute angle theta between this path and the river's edge. All right, so I have a person. What else do I have? A river. Okay, I've got a person and a river. What does it tell me first? They're 200 yards from the river. They're 200 yards from the river. But they don't do what? They don't go straight to the river. They take a longer path. How long does it take them? 400. That's a longer way to go. Okay. Find the angle. What does acute mean? Less than 90. Good. Between this path and the river's edge. Okay. So if I put X right there, is that at the river's edge? No. So the X goes there. Okay, so actually this is the hardest problem we're going to do today. No, it's not. Never mind. I'm making it harder than this. So what is this one? This is opposite and this is hypotenuse. Okay. So I do sine of what? X equals 200 over 400. Okay. And how do you get X by itself? Second sine, inverse sine. Okay. And you get X to be 30 degrees. Okay. Sorry, I had a brain moment. Okay, last one. Number 9, a man looks up at a flock of geese. If the birds are 75 feet horizontally away from the man and 40 feet in the air, what is the angle of elevation? Round to the nearest hundredth. Okay? The birds are 75 feet horizontally. Horizontally means, all right, so a straight across line. If it says horizontally, it's got to be straight across. And we also know the geese are 40 feet in the air. So here's your birds, your flock of birds, okay? Here's your man, okay? And he's looking up at the flock. What is the angle of elevation? So right there's where you put angle of. Okay, so for this one I have opposite, that's opposite, and this one is adjacent. So what word is that? Tan, okay? Your angle always comes next, which is x over 40 over 75. Opposite over adjacent. And how do you get x by itself? Inverse, okay? All right, what are you getting? round to the nearest hundredth. Okay, you've got to read those directions. That's messing some of y'all up. 28.07. Okay.